Father, we're thankful for this day, and we're always grateful to be able to come and serve our community. And we pray, Lord, that you'd give us wisdom and direction so that we can make wise choices and be a blessing to everyone here. We also want to pray for anybody who's sick or hurting or needs your touch. Ask you to minister to them today. We pray for peace in Israel, Lord. We know those folks are going through a tough time, and we just ask you to intervene there and restore peace, Father. Thank you for all you do for us. We do pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Join me in the pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Guys, we're going to go on and sit down in the front. We'll change our agenda up a little bit today and let George go first. Insurance.
Appreciate you getting all this for us.
We got this set. All you got to do is use your arrow keys to go forward.
Okay, perfect. Nice.
You got it on the big screen.
Nice. I got it. Okay, we're good. Good morning. Appreciate you guys making this session available. Obviously, it's a pretty important part of the county budget and the total package for retention of employees. So this is year 11 of our plan. It's kind of hard to believe. It's been 11 years. It's been probably one of the best examples of sustainability of any county or city, municipality that we've had a business relationship with. You guys went self-funded 11 years ago. You went reference-based pricing 11 years ago. We think that probably total claims dollars, I mean, this is not a scientific number, but just looking back over the weekend, I think it's probably saved the county somewhere close to $18, $19 million over that period of time. So we're delivering today a less than 3% trend increase on your fixed cost. Right now, trend's running about 7.5% on medical, about 9% on drugs. So we're well below that benchmark. And you guys ought to be applauded for that because we're doing the necessary things. There's no change in benefits this year. We're not proposing that we change anything on the funding side. You think we were funded appropriately last year. We ran about 86% of our expected claims this year. What that means is that actuarially, they predict what your claims will be based off your demographics, based off of history. We got a lot of history with y'all. Usually when an actuary gets 5, 6, 7 years of history, they can usually get within 2 to 3%. We had some claims this year. We have some events going on right now, but there's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing that we hadn't had before. And it's nothing that we, need to, change what we're doing to accommodate for. So I'll go back right here, and we'll talk more about your claims here in a little while. We use Stealth. We employed Stealth 5 or 6 years ago, 4 years ago, I believe. This is our 5th renewal with Stealth. And what Stealth is, it's a reinsurance wholesaler. So where I can go out and establish relationships with 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 reinsurers, they can go out and establish relationships with 19, 20, 21, 22 reinsurers. So it doesn't cost us anything. Their relationship is with the reinsurer. Reinsurer pays them. We don't pay them. We get the reinsurance wholesale. We get it at 100%, no fees, nothing added on. It's their relationship. So we went out this year, as you can see, we went out to probably 10 different carriers looked at it. We got quotes from a high number. I mean, this is a great sign. I mean, we got over half a dozen carriers, or right out of half a dozen carriers that wanted to look at your business. We had 4 or 5 others that looked at it and said they were just uncompetitive, meaning they just couldn't get where you are currently. So that's great. Why can't they get there? It's because your current reinsurer has history. They trust your numbers. They trust where you're going. The other reinsurers have so many factors they have to apply because they just don't have the history with your group. So we want to renew with the reinsurer every single year. We like to keep that relationship, but just keep in mind that's not something that's not like changing a third-party administrator or changing your PBM, your drug company. It's really just a piece of paper that backs up your claims and your risk. So, but we are going to stay where we are. At least that's going to be the recommendation. Okay. So, is there any way for me to get that a little bigger? Because I don't know if that's going to be. Can y'all see that? Okay.
Here we do
Nice.
this. You'll just kind of have to pan around.
Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is, guys, is we're just going to focus on, what I want to focus on is I want to focus on Renewal B. Okay, we've got your current on the far left and Renewal B. And we do have a lot of changes, not changes, we have a lot of things to consider this year to kind of move pieces around. But what I will say is it is truly, it's just moving discs around on the table. It's not changing your coverage, it's just, it's rearranging kind of the way that we buy some of the services that we have to save, really what you'll see is a substantial amount of money. So we have I'll make sure I can get this right. When I pan around, do I 2 fingers?
Just click and drag.
Okay. Okay, that's good right there. Okay, so let's start with the admin fee. So we have really 2 components to a self-funded plan, right? We have our fixed costs, your admin fees, what you pay for your services, and then we have our soft costs, which are unknowns, and those are our claims. So we're going to focus on our fixed costs right now, and we're going to focus on the admin fees. And so the admin fees, Imagine 360 is our carrier. They provide claims adjudication, processing. They provide us with a network. So we'll start there. So in the highlighted green, we currently have the PHCS network. And we're making a recommendation that we move to a PDH, or Action Health Network. So it's a PDH, that's the acronym, but it's Health Smarts Network. Health Smarts got a firm foothold in East Texas. They have for a long time. Why are we looking to move? Because PHCS is going from a $5 PEPM to an $8 PEPM. And we can get Health Smart PDH for $5. So what does it mean to your employees? Well, it doesn't mean really a whole lot of change at all. We've got 92% of your doctors will remain in network. The other 8%, we can negotiate with them. They're mostly emergency facilities, current ER facilities, anesthesiologists, and 1 rehab facility. But overall, we're still going to get 94% of your claims that you had last year are going to run through our new network. We can manage the other 6%. It's a very, very small number. But a $3 PEPM on 294 employees, it adds up month to month. The biggest part of moving to this network is that PHCS, their discounts have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. So they make arrangements with physicians. That's how networks work. They go to physicians and they hey, we'll bring you business, but we want a piece of the pie. Well, it's gotten out of control. So discounts that we're getting with PHCS, probably when we started 10, 11 years ago, were probably around 60% off of bill charges, and right now they're at 44%. If we go to the Health Smart Network, we'll get back up to about 52%, and that's going to save us $317,000. I took your claims from the last year, last 12 months, just your claims cost on those physician charges, just professional charges, not facility. And we ran them back through as if we were in the PDH network, and it was $317,000 of claims cost, soft cost savings for the county. That's a huge number. That's 10% of our total claims volume year over year. So that's why we're recommending that we go to the PDH Health Smart Network. We'll be able to provide the employees with links. We've already provided that to your HR office. We've looked at the physicians that were most utilized. I've provided a top 10 utilization list, and the coverage is good. We've got, it's not a drop, and I can tell you, I promise you, it's the last thing we want to do is disrupt the service for the members. But this isn't about anything other than making good decisions for the county with the money. And we've done that for so many years. I think this is the right thing to do. I think PHCS is taking a little advantage of the group. Gene therapy. We bought a gene therapy drug last year. Our plan, not a drug, but a plan. And what we've got is I'm going to go down to the, okay, so if we can go right here. Trying to get over here to this yellow. I might not be able to move it to the right. Okay. So in the yellow box on the left side, these are your gene therapy drugs. We talked about this last year when we bought into this pool, this risk pool. And gene therapy drugs right now are really probably the scariest thing that I have to deal with every single year with my clients. Gene therapy drugs average, the cheapest drug you can get is around $400,000. Most of them average around $1.1 million. We see them in a very small population, but most of them are in embryo deliveries, meaning injections. Not all of them are really working that well, but they have been FDA approved, and it's covered. I mean, it's in our plan document. I mean, they're available to our members. So what we do is to protect ourselves is we buy in at $1 PEPM, we buy into this pool. Well, the FDA has approved 3 more gene therapy drugs this year. We had 5 last year. We got 3 more this year for a total of 8. So in order to get all of them covered, what you see is the ones that are listed there, we're going to pay 99 cents more into the pool. And my suggestion is let's play the 99 cents and have full coverage on gene therapy, because one drug, $1 million drug, that's a spec hit, but the biggest issue we're going to have is on a renewal fund, reinsurer that wants to take us. Even though most of them are one-time hits, it's not necessarily the truth. I mean, we just don't know enough about them. So to me, 99 cents PPM is really cheap insurance. So we're going to go that route on the gene therapy. And what we're doing is we're just building up. Why do we have all these changes? So you can see on the PDH Health Smart Combined Network, we go to $5 PDPM. We have the COBRA eligibility. Okay, so the I-360 vision and dental eligibility at $4. That's not $4 PDPM. That's $4 if somebody chooses COBRA. I just want to make sure. So it's included in the $54.69 total, but we're only paying the $4 should somebody elect COBRA. All right, so and that's a handful of people every year. We have, how many people do we have on COBRA now? Yeah, less than 10. So we're paying $40 a month right now for that coverage. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands we're actually really just about $50.69 for our total fixed cost. United Concierge. Okay, so it's $1.95. It's always been included in the rate. United Concierge is Teladoc. It's virtual physician services. So UCM has been provided, it's been loaded into our admin fees since they started offering the service 3 or 4 years ago. The utilization across the board is still pretty low. You know, everybody had hoped that people post-COVID would continue to use those virtual services because they're very inexpensive to deliver. And for most things, for most presentations, it's pretty effective to virtually signal with your physician. But people just like to go to the doctor. And I think also people in this part of the world, or even my part of the world, they really want to go see the doctor. They feel just a lot better talking to somebody and having somebody they can actually put their hands on, so to speak. So they're going to charge $1.95. And the reason they're going to charge $1.95 is because it's an election. And so we look at the utilization. And I went and looked at your utilization, and it's 2% of our group. So So we had 7 members total year to date that opted. What I would suggest we do, let's pull the $1.95 out. Let's save that money, and let's write it into the plan document as a plan document amendment that if your physician offers a virtual service, then we'll pay for it. It's going to be at the regular office visit CPT code anyway. So I don't have a problem with that, but I don't want to pay $1.95 PEPM for something that we're not using. That again, 300 employees, 300 members that we're going to get billed for. That adds up. So that'll save us some money right there.
So you have it listed in the plan, and it will be, that's actually going to come out?
It can come out, yes. It's an option. But I left it in there because it's something that you have now, Judge. So we can pull that out and we'll make that adjustment if we so choose to do that. Okay? The medical admin fee, that is just for the adjudication of the claims. They're going up $1.50 this year. We have not had a rate increase in several years. I can go beat them up. I'll let them take the $1.50 this year because I thought we'd save it someplace else. And then we'll just make sure they hold that for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And they've been really good about that. I mean, we were stuck at $30 for years. And they do a nice job. Their responsibilities have changed a lot. I mean, one of the things is right above the second to last line. That's a new charge. Consolidated Appropriations Act is federal law. We all have to report. Everybody has to report the drug and the physician spend. And we want our third-party administrator to do that for us. That's not something that we're really capable of doing here at the county. Nobody's capable of doing it. So imagine 360 gets ramped up. They're going to provide all the reporting that we need. They're going to take responsibility for gathering the data, for moderating the data, and then reporting the data on our behalf. So everybody that's across the board, every client, Imagine 360s, every TPA that I'm aware of is charging something to do those services. So that's $1.75. So overall, at a $50 increase, a $50 current admin spend going to $54.69, it's a $4.69 increase. But we are picking up some additional services. We're taking on a small increase in the adjudication claims, but we're keeping, and we're going to pull probably, most likely, I'm going to recommend at least, that we're going to back that down $1.95 when we pull out the UCM, the virtual teledoc. So we really got a pretty moderate increase. The specific employee only, we'll get down to some of the other fixed costs when we get into insurance in the second blue box. The specific EO going to $72.29. That was the renewal offer under B. The specific employee family is going to $196. So again, those are fairly moderate. The composite ag rate is going up about $1.13. That ag covers the overall liability of the county, which we'll see in just a second what that is. Last year, I came in and I brought up the idea that maybe we should drop the organ transplant rider. So we got about a 1.2% chance in our demographic to have an organ transplant. I wasn't quite ready last year. They came back at an $8.65 per employee rate. I thought that was probably worth one more year of riding. We made a recommendation. They accepted that. They doubled their rate. I guess we all saw it coming. So they doubled. They want to go to $15.26. That's a massive increase. Family rate going from $21.45 to $38.15. What we're suggesting is, what I would recommend, just like I did last year in our discussion, is a possibility. Let's go to the Cigna organ transplant rider. So rather than having a fixed cost, we'll have a claims-made policy. It's still a network, still a discount. Your reinsurer is aware of it. They will cover your transplants, but we'll get to use the Cigna network. Cigna has the most developed network. They have the most facilities. It's a much larger network than Tokyo Marine. But we're going to use their centers of excellences for any transplant procedures that we have. And hopefully we won't have any, but I'm just not feeling like that we should be accepting a 100% increase when we have not had a claim. And it's really just insurance for us. It's sleep insurance. It did bump our specific rates up, but what it bumped our specific rates up was less, much less than the increase. Not just the total premium, just the increase. So it was a net savings for us to take a little bit more of a specific risk, and that's really why your specific rates, they're up 6% right there. That's the only reason they're up 6% is because we're taking on more of a transplant risk than they are. So that's going to be the probably one of the most important recommendations that we make today. Is let's go to the Sydney network. I just really don't think that we have a choice there. It's too expensive. I'm kind of surprised that it's that much. I didn't think they would double it, but that's where we are. Okay. Okay, so our total annual cost, if we'll look down here, the total fixed cost, the last blue line going across, we're currently at $567, and we're looking at going to $583 minus the $1.99 for the teledoc. So I have to do the math on that, but that's probably going to be pretty close to a wash. So right now we're sitting at about 2.8% fixed cost increase, and I think that'll probably take us down to about a 1.5. So it's pretty nominal. Again, trends running 7-8% for medical and RX. So we're doing pretty well there. The factors, pretty important. So that's kind of your suggested funding rate, so to speak. Your composite factor this year was $1,160.91. That means that's what we're suggesting that you fund to if you want to fund to the max. Now, we don't ever necessarily fund to the max. I don't think we'll ever get anywhere close to the max. 11 years of experience tell me we don't even get to the expected very often. In fact, we have not gotten to the expected since year 2. So why is that? Because underwriters are, again, comfortable with your group, comfortable with your demographics, and they have great history with your group, so they're incredibly accurate in what we should fund to. And that's super important for us because we're budgeting, so we're dollars for the budget. We're earmarking those dollars. So the more accurate we can be and the more we can pull back and save for other projects, it makes a lot of sense. The nice thing is that we have had a lot of surplus, so to speak. We've fallen under those budgeted numbers because you guys have budgeted to the max most years. If you look at the max right there, 1160 going to 1174, that pretty much sums it up right there. I mean, that's just almost virtually no increase. $14, per employee per month, and that's just as low as we see on a day in, day out basis. Your expected, you can see there. So all that composite max is, it's just a 25% cushion over the expected. So they're saying they expect your claims across the board for every single employee, whether they have a family or not, to be $929, or in your case, $939 a month. Okay, the max, that's just plus the 25%. It's just a buffer. So the total attachment factors, meaning what are we on the hook for? So we're on the hook for the $4.143 million. We were on the hook for $3,933. Again, our claims this year, if I extrapolate those out, I'd have to go back and look and see what October numbers landed at. But I was looking at September in our correspondence the other day, Judge. But I think our claims are probably going to run about $3.2 million this year, $3.3 million. So we're falling well under that expected. They're doing a really nice job of being conservative in their estimations with us. One thing that we are going to do, that I'm going to make the recommendation that we do this year, is I'm going to make the recommendation that we accept a laser. So we have an employee who's got an ongoing condition. We currently have a specific deductible of $125,000 per employee, per member, per belly button, if you will. And the underwriters, in lieu of about a 9% bump, 10% bump in our spec rates, they offered us a laser, meaning that we'd be willing to accept additional liability on one member so we protect the rest of the members. And so I think that we should do it. I think mathematically it makes perfect sense. So we have one employee that we can take on an additional $50,000 of liability. When I go back and I look over the last 2-3 months and that employee's claims run out, their actual claims, and it's virtually zero. Statistically, lasers, when they put a laser on a reinsurer, statistically, I mean, since they've been tracking the data, less than 22% of lasers actually get to that laser amount. It's usually too little too late. So I suggest we take it. I have rarely seen a laser hit. I don't think this laser will hit. I've looked at the case conditions and the nurse's notes. Our underwriters at Stealth have looked at the case conditions and the nurse's notes, and we think that it's mathematically the right thing to do. Take on a little more liability. It's a wash for us anyway. We can either pay $50,000 more for spec insurance, or we can roll the dice a little bit. And at the very least, if this laser does pan out and does hit, it's going to be spread out over the course of 12 months. If we take the fixed cost increase, we're going to take it every single month. So that's the suggestion that I would make. So to sum it up, we want to change networks. We want to suggest to drop the teledoc, the virtual. We want to drop the organ transplant rider, and we want to take the laser. And those are the 4 takeaways on the medical and the drugs this year. Everything else is the same. Not suggesting that we make any changes at all there. And that's just medical and drugs. We'll get to the other stuff once we get through this. I don't know how do you want to write this up? Do you want to do each one at a time just to keep them straight, or as we vote, or as you guys vote to accept or not? Or
I think we're going to have one vote to approve it all.
okay. Okay. All right. I think I've got it all in my mind. I think. Okay. So historically, I've not gone through all the other options. My charge has always been to sort that out and bring you guys a condensed version. There's a million different ways to do it. I mean, there's a lot of different combinations with the renewal this year because of all the different, but after kind of playing the shell game and the disc game, more like not shell game, but more like, checkers, moving everything around the board, we come back with a less than 3% increase. Ag factors, we can keep them all, our funding rates all the same. We can keep everything flat there. And if you look across the board, we really don't have any other choices without making a move to another reinsurer. We had one option D over here that the only thing that kind of bothered me about that is they wanted a contingent laser. So contingent laser means we're contingently setting it at 175, but we get the next 2 months to look at the medical claims and we can change that. So that could come back at 175, it could come back at 250, it could come back at 450. I will say that particular member is in treatment right now. That member is not a concern of our current carrier, but it was a concern of this carrier. So I don't think that that's worth the risk either. So my suggestion is renew with Imagine 360, renew with current reinsurer Vista, and then make the changes to the network, make the changes to the organ transplant rider, and accept the laser.
We're not doing away with the organ transplant, you're just talking about pay a set.
We're going from a fully insured product to a pay-as-you-go product. So the way it works with Cigna is if we have the way it works with your current carriers, if you have somebody who gets on a liver transplant list, for example, okay, they're flagged, they go through, large claims management, they go through medical management, they're assigned a case manager with a third-party administrator. If we use Cigna, they get on the liver transplant list, they're going to go through the large claim management, they're going to get assigned a case manager, it all works out the same. Tokyo Marine has their network. They send the member to their network for the liver transplant.
Is there a network in Texas also?
It's in Cigna's they have centers in almost every state, actually. But Tokyo Marines it's a great network. But Cigna's they were the originators. They started in the transplant, specialty business long before Tokyo Marine offered their full insured plan. The difference is that if we go in and we'll present a list to the county, but we'll have every possible transplant that's FDA approved and that is part of our plan document, and we'll pay a fee. So a liver transplant, for example, it'll be an $18,000 deductible. We'll pay $18,000 for the liver transplant, and that's the fee. That's just to access their network, right? The claims we pay by insurance. We still have the same $125,000 liability but it's just a network, and we use it on a claims-made basis. Once we go to a facility, then we get their discount, and we pay a deductible, so to speak, a fee, so to speak, to access their discount and their network. There is a one-time $500 setup fee, one-time $500 setup fee to get started. It's not year over year, but it's a one-time just to get the contract signed.
You guys have any other questions on the fixed and soft costs here?
And my suggestion is also going to be, and I don't think this has to be part of the vote, but I'm going to suggest that you hold your funding levels where they are currently. No increase, no decrease. I think that's a conservative approach. Okay, moving on. We're going to look here at the dental. It's contributory. It's a voluntary dental plan that you guys offer. Get down to the rates. Why is this having a hard time? Hold on. Come up with a better way to do this. Used to mine. Okay, sorry. So the current right now rate guarantee period that we had was through January. It's on the left column. Rate was $27.50 employee only rate. We have 139 employees on the plan, going to $28.88. So a very small increase on the dental. You can look at the different increases for each of the family plans, but they're fairly nominal. This is with Mutual of Omaha. It's the same exact plan that we had, same network, same coverage. Overall, this is also a reminder, this is an employee paid plan, not county. But overall, the increase annually is $5,000. Looks like right now, currently, we have about 170, 175 people on the plan total. So that's a nominal change. Dental's going up astronomically. It's been one of the hardest hit products on the market, so I'm happy to get an increase that seems to be fairly manageable. It's just barely over $1 on the employee only. So you're providing all your members with an affordable dental option there. This is the Vision plan. So we have a rate hold on this, so it's exactly the same as it was last year. The rate holds until January 1st of 2026, so we'll get the same renewal next year this time. Just repeat it. No increase at all. We're doing everything we can to try to get you guys multi-year agreements. Makes it real simple. It's not a lot of disruption, and it really cuts down on the work. Your HR department having to re-enroll folks every single year in different products. So happy to get multi-year guarantees whenever we can. This is a rate guaranteed, a basic life, $20,000. This is, you guys pay for this for your employees. You have for some time now. Nothing's changed here. There is a rate hold on this until next year, so we're guaranteed through next year. Nothing new here. So no change in the life rate, no change in the budget for the county. More good news. This is your voluntary life. I think this is a really, really important product to offer to your employees. I love the guaranteed issue aspect of this. They give the option to add their spouse, their children, all their dependents, legal dependents. Really good option here. No changes in the plan. It's a rate hold. And this hold goes to January 1st of 2025. So we're good for another year. Another really important product to me, the long-term disability. This is employer paid. I think this is one of the most responsible products and benefits that you could offer. You guys have heard me say that every single year. And we got a rate hold here as well. So this is the same exact product we had last year at the same exact rate, same deductions, no budget changes. and this is kind of good news too. The supplemental and prescription drug program on the retirees, this is another product that has just gone through the roof. I mean, I'm not incredibly happy with the $10 PEPM increase, but compared to what we're seeing in the marketplace, I think it's probably fairly reasonable. Deductible on this plan, the initial coverage limit on the renewal looks like that it's going from $4,660 to $5,030. Deductible goes up from $505 to $545. So this is kind of what we've seen every year with these supplemental products. They just keep getting more expensive, and the coverage just keeps getting watered down. But I think this is a reasonable renewal in the market. I don't think that we had no luck finding anything that was anywhere close to being competitive. Okay, so that, I would say that probably, Sabrina, why don't you come up? So that pretty much sums up our medical and our traditional offerings to our employees. So the second part of what we do is we offer optional, products through a cafeteria plan. We offer COBRA, we offer FSA, we offer, payroll deduction options. One thing that we talked about at length last year, and the year before that is that we have what we kind of coined as a spaghetti bowl of products that are just left over year over year over year, and they pile up and they become an absolute disaster for the department. And every so often we see a clean slate, and that's what we're ready to do that this year. We walked down that road last year. We didn't get it done, but we need to do it this year. We've had discussions with Sherilyn in her office. We don't want to continue to do this. There are options for employees if they want to keep their products. They have every right. They'll be contacted. They'll have the opportunity to pay for these. They can debit it out of their account. They can do whatever they want, but we're not going to payroll deduct it anymore. We need to streamline our operations so we have liability. We have liability. We have so many odds and ends that are hanging on out there. It's just time to condense them all down to something that's simplistic, and then we get one manager. Sabrina Lynch is somebody that can help us with that. She's with the Carlisle Group. They're a firm out of Central Texas. We've worked with them for years. They do payroll deduct and onboarding enrollment services. And so Sabrina, why don't you address kind of what we're talking about doing this year?
Yeah, just to give you a little background. So last year, for the first time, we went from all paper to an online enrollment platform. And during that process, with that platform, one thing that we were looking at is just, cutting down on that product line, because there are a lot of voluntary benefits where they offer the same plans through a lot of different carriers. But a lot of those existing plans were not able to be on the enrollment platform. And we're really, trying to give employees that option. With that platform, they can self-enroll with their spouses at home. It also cuts down on the amount of time the HR department has to spend submitting things to different carriers, eliminates data entry errors as well, things like that. So this is just kind of the last piece. What we did last year is we put in a surety for the voluntary accident, critical illness, hospital indemnity. So those lines were replacing 3 other carriers that offered the same plans. And then this is kind of the last piece. So we do have Globe Life that offers 2 different life products, as well as Colonial that offers a permanent life product. This is your vendor for your other voluntary benefits. So we went and got a quote from them, tried to do something that was comparable to what people already have. So they do have that option to keep it on payroll deduct. But when they come and they sit with us, if they want to keep their existing Globe Life plans, their existing Colonial plans, we are going to have forms and information to help them put that on bank draft. But we also wanted to give employees the option, if they don't want to do that on bank draft, they want to keep something on payroll, then they have this option as well. And it's just a permanent life product that when you sign up, you lock in your rate at the age you are now, and it's something that when you retire, you can take with you, and the rate and the death benefit will stay the same. Any questions about that one?
That's good, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, so in a continued effort to kind of clean things up as far as the payroll goes, kind of the last piece is that we want to make a move to AmeriFlex. And AmeriFlex will provide us with dependent daycare options. They'll provide us with the FSA admin, the COBRA administration, and then, of course, the retiree direct billing. And so it's kind of a one-stop shop. We can terminate our relationship with the Health Equity WageWorks, and we can move everything to AmeriFlex. And so I've got Tiffany Jones here out of the AmeriFlex Dallas office, and she, again, we're trying to eliminate the spaghetti bowl. We're trying to get as many products as we can under one umbrella, just like we do with our Imagine 360. So Tiffany, do you want to tell them a little bit about what you guys will do and how you'll do it?
So, flexible spending accounts, y'all are familiar with them, you've done them. What we're bringing to the table is a better service level. So there will be a single point of contact strategic account manager for the plan administrators for these plans, the dependent care, the COBRA, the retiree billing, and the FSA, which is going to streamline and make things so much easier for Sherilyn and her team. So that's a benefit. You still have the debit cards, and we partner with MasterCard on those. They do come with lifetime ID theft protection, full wallet for the participants. Also, we have what's called a card swipe guarantee. So the card's going to swipe. There's going to be times, just to set the expectation, where, remember, the IRS is involved. This is pre-tax. So there will be times where the participant will need to confirm, I was at the dentist, I got my teeth cleaned, not my teeth whitened. So, but we make that process as easy as possible. They can take a picture with their phone on a mobile app. They can also do it online. So we want to keep that participant's experience very clean and easy for them. They have plenty of time to get that done. It may not be necessary, but it will every time they go to the dentist. So again, trying to keep the customer service level very high for the participants. There's many hours for live chat and talk to a live person. We answer the phone 99% of the time. And then, of course, making it a lot easier for the plan administrators for your group. Right, and we work with Sabrina on the Employee Navigator platform. So, and she and I have worked together on other groups, and everything's going very well.
It's good.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah, and so just I want to make it clear, because we need to clean this up. But we're removing the Aflac and Colonial products, and we're running into issues where reps are changing. We don't know the faces. We don't know who to contact when we have a new employee. We don't know who to contact when there's a change of status with an employee. So, I mean, again, it's just kind of a reset button. It's not atypical. We do it all the time, especially in organizations like yours. Any organization that has any type of turnover, you're going to end up with a spaghetti bowl. I mean, it's nothing that was, no balls were dropped, HR's done what they can do. They've really done a fantastic job over the years to kind of keep up with it. But we do want to push that reset button.
I think that's kind of been our goal, to more to streamline things, software, new technology, make it easier, as easy as possible, not just for our employees, but also for our HR.
Right.
Sounds great.
It's a lot going on. Okay. I think that just about does it for us, unless anybody has any questions.
Cheryl, do you have any comments on this? I know you've studied it probably more than anybody else. You're happy with it?
Yeah, I definitely think this is the direction we need to go. It's, adding Airflex is another piece of what we've been trying to accomplish since I came here, which is efficiency, streamlining services, getting rid of all of the paper-based services. So we started
I was looking because I just thought it'd be interesting for the commissioners. We had a SPC that came through yesterday, a single patient contract where we had an employee that needed a heart procedure, an angioplasty, done at Longview, Good Shepherd Longview, and you'll have to help me, Sherilyn, but the bill charges that they wanted to offer us were $100,000 for the procedure, for an angioplasty, and you know, Medicare plus 20 was $5,500, and I think we settled at something around $7,000 or $8,000. And I mean, it just gives you guys an idea of what you're doing. You know, had we been with the traditional facility network, we would have gone over there and they would have billed our insurance company $100,000, and that just goes right toward. I mean, we pay those claims, right? So what you're doing is working, and I mean, it was an SPC. There was no disruption in service. You know, everything worked the way it should. The member presented. They called for a pre-cert. They got our third-party administrator. They realized that we're not in network. They negotiated a fee down from $100,000 down to something less than 10. And that all happened in a matter of about an hour. So, you know, the platform that we're on right now, and that's where I can stand up here with confidence and tell you we've saved $20 million over the last 10 years, minimum. And that's not including drugs, y'all. That's just medical. I mean, we get into drugs, you won't believe me when I tell you how much we saved. I mean, that's where we're getting absolutely hammered. We were. But using the aggregator, I mean, I think we're saving roughly right now, we're saving around 40 to 45% annually over what other counties in the state of Texas that might be with TAC, might be with, you know, the Texas Municipality League. I mean, if they're with Abuca, they're paying for drugs. So we're getting the same drugs they are. We're just getting them at a discount. So you guys should be committed. I wish more of our public entities would you know, spend. You know, I wish mine and my county cared more about the constituents, and they don't. It's absurd, but it's the way it goes. So you should be applauded for that. It's a lot of savings we're seeing every single day. I think that does it, Judge.
You got a question, guys? Thank you, George.
Yeah, sure. I'll help you if you need it.
While we're waiting on our other guys, I'll just mention that we called our meeting to order at 9 a.m. We do have a quorum present. Precinct 1, Commissioner Hatfield. Precinct 2, Commissioner Timmons. Sims presiding. Precinct 3 is Commissioner Mullen. Precinct 4 is Commissioner DeMar. Give Commissioner DeMar another minute. All right, here we're back together again. We were on item number 3, which was consideration of approval of the Harrison County Employee Benefits Plans as presented by George Harmon from the Niche Group. The recommendation was for renewal B minus the teledoc charges and including all the ancillary, the additional benefits for our employees. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any other questions or comments? Thank you guys for all coming today and schooling us up, getting us current on how we're doing. Seems to be all generally good news, and thank you all. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank y'all. You don't have to hang around. We'll be a little while unless you just want to.
Perfect. Thank y'all very much.
Yep, thank y'all for coming. We'll move along to item number 1. That was consideration and action regarding the approval of the NET RMA. That's the Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority 2023 Priority Project Grant funding in the amount of 30% of the project, but not to exceed $300,000 between Harrison County and NET RMA regarding the reconstruction of Lansing Switch, which is 3.853 miles in Precinct 3 in Harrison County for a total estimated amount of $932,277.33 on a cost reimbursement basis, with Harrison County to provide the remaining $632,277.33 for said project to be paid from the Road and Bridge Fund. Mr. Davis was not able, he was busy this morning. I told him we could handle this. You guys know this is another grant request. We recently made one to the NET RMA. They funded our last grant of just over $100,000 for Lansing Switch. Is that right? Pedro, this is Lansing Switch. So they just gave us a $100,000 grant for Page Road. This is up to $300,000 for Lansing Switch. The cost estimate, Luke simply took this year's cost, what we paid for road rebuilding this year, and use the same numbers to estimate this cost, thinking it'll be similar, which is probably as good a guess as we can get. So it'll be roughly in that neighborhood, and NET RMA is willing to pay 30% up to $300,000. Heavily traveled road in your precinct, Commissioner, is that right?
That's correct. Basically, there's about 500 households that either live right on Lansing Switch Road or on a off-road that is a dead end that they have to come back to Lansing Switch. And, a lot of houses, and it's also a major cut through from Highway 80 to Gum Springs Road, Farm Market Road 968. Also has access to the access road on Interstate 20. So that's a major also cut through to get on Interstate 20.
Who picks these projects?
That'd be your county road administrator.
Well, I just don't wanna see us get, there's 3 other precincts that's got projects also. This is gonna be the last 2 grants from NET RMA that's gone to the same precinct. So, I don't wanna see a pattern developing here. But we've all got needs, so that's.
Well, we've been doing big projects everywhere, all over, trying to, and it's nice when it really doesn't matter which ones we try to get grant on. The grant overall, if we're gonna do the project anyway, it's
Well,
gonna reduce our expenses.
It does matter to me. It may not, because I represent the people in precinct 4.
Well, if we were gonna do this project anyway, we could just save the county $300,000, so we can take that $300,000 we saved and we can do a project in precinct 4. I don't think that your road administrator is trying to shortchange any precinct.
Well, I'm not, I just wanna make sure that we're not honed in on one specific area.
Sure.
That, there's 750 miles of roads in the county, so,
Yeah, no, you're right.
How much of a grant was that into?
Which road?
5 Notch, and then we got one coming up on Marshall Lee Road.
Did we get grants for those?
Well, I was assuming.
Well, we used the ARPA funds.
ARPA funds.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
yeah, it's NET RMA.
All right.
Any other questions or comments about this net RMA grant?
I think a lot of it too, though, was that the criteria that Net RMA was looking for, this was probably the only road that fit it.
Okay, needed to be a highly traveled road, and certainly it meets that. All right, is there any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Malden, second by Commissioner Timmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item number 2 is consideration and action regarding the approval of the resolution in order to cast votes for the Board of Directors of the Harrison Central Appraisal District and the casting of votes for the nominee by Harrison County. You guys have seen the list of nominees. This is due by December 14th, so we're getting it done a little early to send back to the appraisal district. Our nominee was Albert Tiller, requires 1,000 votes to elect, at least, well, generally it takes about 1,000 votes to elect one of the 5 members. And we have 1,222 votes. What's your request? Is there any?
I think we do have one request.
Yeah, I do. I'd like to, use our 1,000, we've got 1,222 votes. I would like to, do I need to make it a motion form? I will, to give 1,000 votes to Mr. Albert Tiller that's willing to serve again, and the remainder of our balance, the 222 votes, I'd like to, for us to take action and, support Ross Brown.
Is that a motion? Or is that what we need?
We do need a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to give 1,000 of our votes to Albert Tiller and the remainder 222 to Ross Brown. Any other questions or comments? That was a motion by Commissioner Hatfield, a second by Commissioner Ebar. No other questions or comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. On down to item number 4. This is consideration and action to approve the renewal of the annual maintenance and support services agreement for the Rapid Scan security system located at the main entrance of the courthouse as requested by the Information Technology Department.
I saw a new X-ray machine in the front door.
Yes, sir.
Motion.
Motion.
We had a motion by Commissioner Timmons. Was that a second by Commissioner Ebar? Any questions or comments on our maintenance agreement here? $7,700 a year. No questions or comments, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
I would like to make a comment though on this. I was called up to jury duty last week for 2 days, and there were probably 400, 500, 600 people that showed up. It's nice for them to be able to handle that kind of entry on jury selection day, and I think they had even more than that. It was called up and they released about half of them. So I mean, it's very worthwhile to have that because it speeds that process up. Yeah, it was.
Speeding up the process, getting people in, but it's also done its job security wise, screening all of the people. They find stuff all the time that otherwise they wouldn't have found without doing a hands-on search and take a whole lot more time.
Right. So I mean, it's good to have that.
It went pretty quickly.
I thought it did. I was pretty impressed because when I got in line, it was almost out to the curb at the street, and I thought, oh Lord, I should have come at 7 o'clock. But you know, within 10 minutes, that line was through. And they had people there, 3 or 4 people running it and scanning their people's stuff. But so I mean, it's done its job for us in my opinion.
Very good. All right, On to item number 5, this is consideration of approval of the deletion of the approval of Enterprise Fleet Management quote 7485735 dated 9/26/2023 for road and bridge work truck, and to add the Enterprise Fleet Management quote 7606457 for an F-350 chassis XL 4x2 SD regular cab for road and bridge work truck. You guys know that as soon as we say we're gonna get a truck, it gets sold, and we wind up having to replace it, and that's what's happened here. This is a 1-ton, dual wheel cab and chassis, to be a service truck for road and bridge. I think the one they're using, I forgot how old it was, maybe it's a 2011 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely past its, useful life. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Hatfield. Any questions or
I
comments?
noticed there was a little over 13,000 for a bed. Is, I guess the older truck that this is replacing, that bed wouldn't swap over to this chassis?
I guess, they're pretty good about trying to reuse any beds they have, any other equipment, so I bet they probably got the money's worth out of that last one. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item number 6, consideration and action regarding the approval of the payroll for November 9th, 2023.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item number 7, consideration and approval of the submission of the 2023 RAMP grant summary of expenditures in the amount of $106,342.41 for a 50% reimbursement to the Texas Department of Transportation Division of Aviation. So this is actually, we'd be getting, and I think we had the whole grant on our last agenda, where this is a 50-50 reimbursement up to $100,000. So we would be getting we'd be getting $50,000 back on this particular submission, but it's a big savings for our airport. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Malden. Any questions or comments?
Is the grant up to 100 or they reimburse up to 100?
They reimburse up to 100.
So if you had 200,000 in expenses, they'd reimburse 100?
No, it's only up to 100. So if you got 200,000 worth of expenses, you can only get 50,000 back.
Okay.
That was this year.
Right.
They just had the new one that's now 90%. So if you spent 200,000, you'd only get 90,000 back. It only goes up to $100,000.
So your month-to-month expenditures or your hard costs as far as to run your facilities not included? I noticed it looked like it was mostly maintenance.
Well, we just kind of picked out some of the bigger ones.
Okay.
Almost any maintenance, and the big ones are the fuel. They'll let you use the fuel reimbursement,
I saw
which is
that.
great. So it just makes it easier for us to pick out the large expenses and use them. And I'd like to thank Ms. Graff for taking care of all this. She handles all those details. Thank you. Motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Not all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Next up, Mr. Flowers. This is a presentation by Mr. Lee Flowers from the Harrison County Central Appraisal District. He's brought us some information. I'll let you go through your information if you'd like to, and then we'll recess and get to visit with you and get to know you. I don't want this to be a formal meeting. We want to get to know you and certainly appreciate you serving our appraisal district here for the county.
Well, thank you very much. I just brought a couple of things with me. First of all, you had on your agenda, and there were some questions about the Board of Director elections, the process. I got a call from one of the candidates yesterday asking some questions. So one of those pages, just FAQ, might answer some of the most prevalent or common questions about that process, feel free to make copies, distribute it. I'm not going to warranty that there's no misspelling or grammatical. I just jotted this off yesterday, so you've taken action on that, and I appreciate that. If you'll just have someone get me that information. We did provide a resolution if you want to return it on that, but we just need to get that back to the district. The other handout that you have is just a copy of what I provided to our directors at the last board meeting, just in ways and for the purpose of trying to update the board of directors on some of the recent activities that that are taking place there at the district. You have a bit of a rodeo in your hands. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. What we have right now are 17 employees at the appraisal district, not counting myself, that are dedicated, loyal, and wanting to learn and wanting to do. And that is a good thing. I will tell you that the drama that the county has gone through over the course of the summer did not destroy the appraisal district. The appraisal district did not destroy itself just this year in the first 6 months of the year, 7 months of the year. It's been something that's been working for a while. There's been too much centralized command and control at the appraisal district. The employees that are there, they know their job within reason, but they don't know anything outside of that. That's not the way to run an organization. School superintendents are very particular to this because as a school superintendent, they come and they go. And one of the hallmarks of a good superintendent is making sure that the organization is solid enough to survive no superintendent or a transition in between superintendents. And you can't do that if the superintendent makes all of the decisions and nobody else knows what to do. And that's basically what has happened at the appraisal district. Any successful organization is in the same boat. You have to train your people, you have to educate your people, you have to invest ownership and responsibility in your people. And that has simply not happened. And that is causing us to have a great need for much training and education. And that's what we're going through right now, and it's going to be an ongoing process. I've got 7 appraisers. There's 2 vacancies right now, and counting the deputy chief spot. But out of the 7 appraisers that are currently on staff, 6 of them only have about 2 years of experience. There's very little, if any, management on site. I do have some people that are stepping up. But what I'm trying to describe to you is a very difficult situation to walk into to try to turn around with as many problems as we're facing. One of the things that I need to try to get people to understand is, I came on board technically September 1st. And realistically speaking, that's only about 7 months of time to try to get a lot of things done before our notices go out next year. In a perfect world, in a well-run appraisal district, that would be a challenge, just to recalibrate and redirect and redesign a model. This is not anywhere near the perfect situation. So I do have some serious concerns about being able to get everything that needs to be done, because everything needs to be done yesterday. And not only does it need to be done yesterday, everything needs to be done. And that is, we just need to have some realistic expectations. There's no way for me to get it done in 6-7 months. It's going to take some time. Our evaluation model, you know that several of your schools have some significant issues with the state TEA funding. That is probably one of our, probably the single biggest issue that we're facing right now. The software system that we have, that we share with your county assessor's office, is really causing me some heartburn. I'm not really sure where we're gonna go on that issue. I really don't want to throw a software conversion in the middle of everything else that's going on. That's not a good alternative. But the flip side to that is if I can't trust the software system to do what I need to, that's not a good situation either. And to be quite honest, I don't know where I'm gonna fall on that just yet. The models, the values obviously are obviously at risk. The model itself, the valuation model, especially the residential and vacant land model, in my opinion, is inadequate to the task. There's very little to no neighborhooding, if you will. That was one thing that I tried to impress upon my immediate predecessor when I came over to try to help him in February or March, that you can't have basically one model that fits an average quality house, and it'd be the same model that you use in Karnak, Elysian Fields, Marshall, and Hallsville. Those are distinctly different markets. Not only are they distinctly different markets, we all know that not all property inside Hallsville is the same as everything else in Hallsville. Even in Hallsville, I'm assuming there's going to be some different neighborhoods and whatnot, and that's not being done. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges to the valuation model. It's not difficult to redesign a model. It's really not difficult to redesign a model. What the problem is getting your property coded correctly and your property coded correctly, and then you multiply that 60,000 more times across the county. That is the problem in redirecting the valuation model, is getting everything coded at the property level. Because, like I say, currently there's no neighborhood codes to speak of when it comes to the residential, for example, residential properties. Well, those codes have to be put into the system after we figure out what codes should be where geographically. So building the model is not a problem. Implementing the model is the challenge, just in terms of time and resources. So we've got that going on. We've got some workflow and procedure issues. I've already changed several protocols and procedures. There's still more to do, but you can only do so much at one time. So we're still working through that issue as well. One of the things that I have had to learn is that I have to slow down my decision-making process. I am accustomed to getting good information and making a decision. And I've already been bit a few times already because actual facts seem to be a moving target here. So I'm having to learn to slow down, because usually my go-to is there's a problem, I identify the problem, the facts of the problem, then I let the people that need to know. And that's what I've done, only to find out the facts weren't exactly what I thought, what I was told and what I thought they were. So I can't get into a situation, little boy that cries wolf. So I'm having to slow my process down, and that's kind of a change for me, really. Just trying to make sure I give time for people to work through the problem and get the facts back. I am concerned right now about our budget reserve. It's been hard for me to get the sure enough ironclad facts. We did have Axland Road come down and visit with us. Right now, I think we're okay for the end of the year, but this is one of those things where I'm just going to let it lay until the end of December and then see where we are at the end of the year for sure before I start visiting about anything we might need to do in the future in terms of budget reserve. I understand you had a pretty healthy reserve. They bought a building and sold a building, and so I don't have a whole lot of background information on budgets in the past or actual amount of budget reserves, but you all know that you don't want me coming back to you in the middle of the year for $50,000, $60,000 for an air conditioner. And we all know that happens. I mean, air conditioners go out, heating system. Matter of fact, we've got a lot of issues right now with our system. And that's why we have a reserve. And I'm not really sure where we are on that. I know we had a significant amount of money walk out of the building this year from retirements. That is something that the board and I are looking at possibly changing for the future, because they could bank practically, for all intents and purposes, up to about a half a year of unused PTO. And that's an unfunded liability, or at least how they've done it has been an unfunded liability. So that really dug into us deeply this year in terms of what funds there were there. And then they did do some roof work, I think it was, earlier this year. So we will be looking at that. Now, your budgets, my budgets, they're already set for '24, so it is what it is. But we will need to look ahead to '25 and into the future to find out where exactly we need to be to make sure that we're comfortable and solvent, if you will. I do want to visit with you in open session about one other issue. We have, there's been a great amount of rumor, innuendo, disinformation, and just uninformed opinion about the property value study for the schools, about the McCrary, Vasselka, and Bragg and Allen firm. And it would appear to me, looking at it from an outsider with an unbiased perspective, looking at just the facts, that most of that is just not understanding the process. The values have not been right. And if you could imagine just for a moment, if you're an attorney and somebody doesn't give you anything to work with and expects you to file a lawsuit, are you gonna, it doesn't help you with the judge to be filing junk lawsuits all the time, right? And the same thing goes with the property value study appeal. There's not been a lot of actionable things to appeal. And I don't think many people have understood that, because the appraisal district evidently has been telling people that McCrary doesn't know how to come in out of the rain, that they can handle the appeal. And I have seen many of the reasons for taking this property out of the study or that property out of the study that have been given by the appraisal district, and it's not realistic. It's really Ned in the first grade. So part of the problem is the prior administration has not approached this correctly. There's been some appraisal bias in the system, plain and simple. And what I mean by that is this: it's not my job to tell the market what it's doing. It's not my job to agree with the market. Now, do I think the market in Texas since COVID has been crazy as a twice run over dog? Yeah, I do. But that doesn't change the fact that once the sales occur and buyers and sellers take action, that it is what it is. It's not up to me to say there's no way that house is worth this when houses are selling for whatever they are. And that's what I mean by, I think there's been some appraisal bias enter into the system in terms of just not reacting and respecting the market. So having said that, there is a delinquent tax attorneys. Hang on a second, I'm trying to make sure I stay politically correct, and I'm in open session. Delinquent tax attorney firms are not my favorite thing to deal with. I came through several fires at Cherokee because of delinquent tax firms. Basically, at the end of the day, some of those firms are only interested in trying to get their 20% cut of all the delinquent money that's out there. In Cherokee, I moved from one firm to the McCrary firm. I tried that on 2 occasions. I wasn't successful the first time. The second time I was. I have worked with the McCrary firm. I've worked with Ms. Vaughn for several years. I know how they are. I know how they think. I know what they do. I know their perspective behind it, and it dovetails with my perspective of how to move forward and handle the public. You have the Purdue firm that has entered into Harrison County because they smell blood in the water. And at the end of the day, what I want to caution and concern you about is this. I have never seen a delinquent attorney contract like the one you have here with McCrary. In Cherokee County, my McCrary contract said that if I had a lawsuit from the appraisal review board, you know, I don't like my value or this, that, and the other, if I had a lawsuit, they would represent me, but we would have to pay for it. And that's pretty much normal. Not here. That is the one abnormal thing about Harrison County that's so cool. In this contract for Harrison County, for the appraisal district, the appraisal district doesn't pay for litigation. And gentlemen, that is huge. I cannot tell you how huge that is. What we're having more and more these days in our industry are corporate bullies. I mean, that's about the long and short of it. If a corporation doesn't like what they get from the appraisal district, they don't like what they get from the appraisal review board, then they just file suit because they know that the appraisal district can't take it to court because they don't have the money to fight the litigation. I don't have to worry about that here. All I had to pay for is expert witnesses. Gentlemen, that's huge. And I bring that up to say this, because I know you have a contract with McCrary for your tax collections for the ESDs in the county. We have the McCrary contract for the schools in the cities, except for Elysian Fields. We cannot allow anything to jeopardize that. Now, currently, the appraisal district is in the middle of a 5-year contract with the McCrary firm. The first clause of that contract specifies that for our collection clients, we use McCrary. Our interlocal agreements that we have as the appraisal district to each city and each county, our interlocal agreement specifies that the appraisal district, except for Elysian Fields, specifies that the appraisal district board of directors has the sole contractual responsibility to select the delinquent tax firm. If the board, and we've already been approached by Wascom ISD to allow them to select their own, if we allow that, and then we allow another, and then we allow another, at some point, I mean, understand McCrary's not paying for litigation out of the goodness of their heart. They're compensating, they're paying for litigation out of part of what funds they're getting from that 20% draw off delinquent funds. At some point in time, this jurisdiction gets to select their own, and they go somewhere else, and that one, and this. At some point in time, McCrary is going to have to come back and say, we can no longer honor the agreement we have contractually to pay for litigation, and you're going to have to start paying for it. I've had several filed this year. I guess 3 or 3 weeks ago. I think the last count where we had 11 active lawsuits. 11 active lawsuits. Gentlemen, we simply don't have the budget. I'm worried about the air conditioner breaking, much less having to go to court. And this is a huge, huge issue. And it affects my clients being the taxpayers and the taxing units. And I get very protective when it comes to my clients. And I've pushed back pretty hard on this Purdue thing. It's not about Purdue, because if I came in here and we had Purdue instead of McCrary, I'd be doing the same thing for Purdue. The point is, this litigation is a huge deal, and we cannot risk letting it go. So I would caution you about that and just put that bug in your ear. Any questions, I'd love to answer them. Finally, I would like to possibly entertain some town halls across the county, probably in the spring before notices come out. And if possible, since the 4 of you represent the different 4 precincts of the county, I may see if I can get some help from you in trying to make connections and establish some site or make some arrangements so that we can have that take place. I can make this guarantee to you: the values are going to go up. I can make this guarantee to you: the values are going to go down. And I can make this guarantee you: values are going to stay the same. That's just the nature of the beast. That is just the nature of the beast with 60-some-odd thousand properties. There's going to be some that go up, some that go down, and some that stay the same, and it's not going to make a whole lot. And it's especially not going to make much sense this year, because we're taking basically a broken model and trying to draw a line in the sand and get a fresh start. So right now, I'm very grateful for the reception that I've had from taxpayers, taxing jurisdictions. It's been very nice. I've had a very pleasant reception. I know that's a honeymoon, and I know that when those notices go out, that honeymoon will come to a screeching end, okay? But that's just part of the job. Anything that I can do, answer, whatnot, I'll be happy to do that.
I have one request, and this request would be of the Board of Directors, when a complaint come in, to please take it serious and you know, look into it, do something, because I feel like if they had taken the original complaint serious, we wouldn't be in this mess that went over the summer. So I would just hope that they would take any and all complaints serious and check into them.
I will pass that along. I will tell you that I have treated that like kryptonite to Superman. That's the Board of Directors. They're dealing with that investigation. I'm not having anything to do with it other than what I have to. What they find or what they do, if there's anything I need to do as a chief appraiser, they'll let me know and we'll do it. But outside of that, I can't. We've got to look ahead, and the staff keeps getting drugged back, and we've got to draw a line in the sand and move forward. But I think that report is about ready to come out, so they should be looking at it at some point. But yes, sir, I will pass that along.
And by the way, I did reach out to the Wascom ISD, someone that I knew down there, and I asked them to please stay where they are, give our new director an opportunity instead of just dropping altogether. So I hope that worked out. I don't know.
I'm optimistic, but we'll see what happens. I understand there's several issues that the superintendent has. I respect those issues, but I've been here since September, so give me a chance to kind of get up to speed and move ahead.
I was happy to hear that you're not happy with the mapping and the software that you're using. I've seen some other counties and they seem to have a great system, and ours is stuck in the 90s maybe. So I know it's probably not a great time to take on that big of a challenge of converting over, but I feel like we probably will at some time, and I'm glad to.
Well, it is from the 90s was a good description. I'm dealing with some pretty significant issues right now that cause me great pause in terms of the protocols within the company as well as how the software works. So I'm just not sure. And there again too, it comes down to funding too, whether or not I can even afford to make a software switch for 24. But it is very troubling to me, some of the things and protocols that I'm seeing. And I know that there are others out there. I was in the process of trying to take Cherokee to a new software system before I left. As a matter of fact, I think they're still on par to try to do that this coming year. The software that we had in Cherokee is still a fairly viable software that's out there and available. We were actually beta client number 2 in 1999 on that software. I don't know whether it would be prudent to bring that over here. If I did go that route, it would just be a stopgap measurement. It'd be something where it would be something that we could use for the next 2 or 3 or maybe 4 years before we transition to what probably we should get into. So I just don't know. Every day a holiday and every meal's a treat, right? That's what I'm trying to, that's the perspective I'm trying to keep. So.
Certainly anything we can do to help you, if you would like some support from the town hall point of view, and we've got community centers kind of scattered around or different venues that we'd be happy to try to help and host or whatever
appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, guys, that brings us, to the end. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We're adjourned. It's 10:34.